Right, England and USA will meet on Friday in a match that will contain some intriguing key battles which could be a decisive factor in the final outcome. England started brilliantly, of course, but was the 6-2 win a fair reflection of the match? Plus, I'm going to reveal where USA could hurt England the most and how they could finish top of this group. Right, let's have a look at the opening matches, the positives and the negatives. You've got the goals from Bellingham, Sterling, Rashford, Grealish, Saka banging in too as well. It saw England begin the World Cup in a really positive fashion, while later in the day, I went to that one as well, USA against Wales. They both gained a point in a 1-1 draw, which all got predicted. Now, these matches were filled with positives and negatives for both teams. England looked like a well-organised team from the very start, with each player knowing their role. It led to the team looking really, really strong in possession. The negative for England was off the ball, wasn't it? And looking that little bit vulnerable against Iran towards their defence, even if it only happened once or twice during the game. We were a little bit open. USA had a good first half as they dominated the ball and created the chances. They didn't allow Wales to get out of their own half, which was down to their organisation as a team. I thought Josh Sargent was really smart in the way that he pressed for the team, but also Wales just struggled to get out because they were poor and the occasion got to them. They lacked that aggression, but they came out in the second half with a lot more aggression, kept the ball well, which meant that the US weren't able to dominate, especially that midfield 3 area like they did in the first half. Let's talk about this US midfield then, because as these teams come head to head, we can start to see the areas where both teams could exploit weaknesses in the other. Although England's midfield performed well with Bellingham playing superbly and Rice with that neat performance, this is where the USA could win a very, very key battle by having that extra man. That trio of Musa, McKennie and Adams could easily create the overload in midfield over Rice and Bellingham if England line up the same way. Interestingly, the US in particular kind of focused down both sides. You had Musa working with Anthony Robinson and Pulisic on the left-hand side, and then you had Sergiño Dest, Weston McKennie and Timothy Weah on that right-hand side. I wonder if they might twist up in terms of their attacking forces to try and go through the centre and work as a trio that little bit more. Because obviously it's 2 against 1. The problem will be stopping the defensive prowess of the likes of Bellingham and Rice and getting around the intelligence of Mason Mount off the ball. We saw Bellingham have the freedom to attack as Rice was really, really deep, almost a single pivot at times, and Trippier was slightly more disciplined in his positioning. However, a team with more quality in attack and especially midfield could have the edge over that element of the game. Musa is the type of player to receive the ball, take on the opposition and move into space on that left channel. He wants to progress the ball and be dangerous. He'll thrive in an environment where he can link up with his midfield partners to pass and move around England's midfield. Adams is super effective for the USA as well. Only Zimmerman had more touches than him, but he also won 5 tackles and made 2 interceptions. The one thing I would say is that Pulisic made that massive difference by standing in between those 2 centre-backs, whereas Dan James and Gareth Bale, they were both kind of on the outskirts of those 2 centre-backs, not really affecting the game at all when the US had the ball. So that triumvirate of Zimmerman, Ream, and of course Adams in the middle just had free reign in that first half. It'll be interesting because the US will inevitably come under more pressure in that area of the pitch. On top of that, Pulisic was another player dropping into deeper positions as USA tried to get him on the ball as often as possible. Also, you've got the outlet of Anthony Robinson, which is crucial here. He played 8 progressive passes, and only Messi has made more so far in the World Cup. This is another way USA can overload the midfield and cause England problems. USA directness, their goal against Wales was the perfect example of how they want to score goals in this tournament, and it was heavily influenced by Pulisic coming into deep positions. They gained possession on the halfway line and looked to be direct behind the Wales defence. Pulisic collected the ball and ran forward, which is when Weah made that angled run. The run was really clever as he was in the blind spot of Nico Williams, so he could easily get into the box with Williams left behind. And this is the danger for England, as USA are likely to be able to build through the middle, or look to, and then get that extra man in Pulisic on the ball regularly once again. It could result in a similar outcome if they can be direct as that goal against Wales. England can also look to attack space that USA will leave open. If they do leave it open, that will be an interesting area, which will be in those wide areas. Both of their fullbacks like to push high and attack, but out of the two, it's Robinson who has that higher influence. Only Pulisic had more attacking third touches than him against Wales, and that can lead to open space on the counter-attack. What Southgate will have to decide is whether Saka should play a similar role to what he had against Iran. As we explained in the fallout, go check out that video of course, Saka was dropping deep to receive the ball, then turning to run at defenders in an attempt to progress the ball in attacking transition quickly into that attacking third, or to win fouls. Taking into account the role of Robinson, it might mean it's more beneficial to have Saka running in behind and getting the team more direct towards him on the counter-attack. This could lead to Robinson have to worry more about that impact in behind of Saka. And furthermore, you've got the role of Mason Mount, who will be a key figure to allow these players to stay wide and to attack space in behind. For the majority of the Iran match, he was on the left-hand side in that half space there, working with Raheem Sterling and Luke Shaw. But he could have a much better influence by roaming on the right-hand side on this occasion, almost quite possibly pinning someone like Musa on that left-hand side and then allowing Saka, who was in that role, to stay wide and get in behind and make life difficult for those fullbacks, in particular Anthony Robinson. There could be an idea, in addition to Saka, Southgate could also bring in Rashford, who looked sharp when he came off the bench. I think it's going to be the same, where surely you've got to start Saka, and obviously there's concerns about Harry Kane and if he's going to be able to play. And so for me, it wouldn't be Rashford through the middle, it would be Callum Wilson retaining that position, and I think playing that central role very similar to Kane. I think if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I think with Mount pinning Musa, allow Saka to stay wide, let Trippier stay conservative, and England will find themselves in a really good place. Also, you get that double effect of Rashford coming off the bench and again making life just horrible for the opposition. So one question for you in the comments: am I getting this one wrong? Callum Wilson or Rashford for Kane? Do you allow Rashford to be that substitute, or do you play him as that centre forward who can, of course, spin and run in those channels as well? And it then might allow you to play Saka in a similar place and then put Mason Mount over on that left-hand side to create another overload there. Which way would you go about it? The difference between the teams would mainly be the roles in which the players would take up, with more emphasis on attacking space instead of breaking down a low block like you did against Iran. So something to keep in mind, guys, when you're thinking. And I want to hear your thoughts. Get involved in the comments. There is one other option. It's clever. It could be a 4-3-3 to match USA in midfield. The likely choice would be Phillips alongside Rice and Bellingham, which would make England a sort of stronger team out of possession. It also allows Bellingham to attack and link up with forwards and not have to be too concerned about being countered on easily, as Rice and Phillips can cover for all of that. Actually, the other thing I was just thinking there before I started talking to you guys in this little section is that you could go to a back three if Kyle Walker feels fit and you want to start to give him some minutes. Again, brings that kind of conservatism to it, but also would allow maybe to play someone like Trent as a right wing back to, again, push back the likes of Anthony Robinson, who I do really think is a real weapon for the US. Onto that US lineup, no changes for the USA, but one that could be made is Rayner on the right wing. However, Way was able to grab his goal, so that may keep him out of the team. Right then, guys, time for a prediction. US were tidy, but once the pressure was applied to that midfield, that is where the game will be won and lost. And again, if you've got two up against a three and you're able to cope with it, and I get Mason Mount is part of that midfield, but really it felt like an old-fashioned two there at times. If they go out and play that same way and are able to stop the opposition, and in particular that three in midfield, which is such a strong point for the US, then I think we'll then get a lot of joy. We'll have bodies higher up the pitch, and I think we'll score some goals again. So I think it's going to be one where maybe from a set-piece point of view, they're able to cope with us that little bit better. But overall, I think England will win this. I think they'll win it 3-1. I think we'll continue to score goals. We're in a rich vein when it comes to that. And I think it'll be one where, I think we'll just gently get over the line. Not as impressive as Iran. Again, maybe some concerns going down the other end because they do have quality, USA. But I think we get that second win and we establish ourselves as that front runner for the group in terms of winning the group. But what do you guys think? I think the lineup's important, but I think overall we should have the quality and cohesion and confidence, all the C's, to commit 4C to winning this contest. fifth C. If you haven't subscribed with a C, then make sure you do. Hit the like button. I'm doing as much content as I can. I'll be reacting to the game, of course, as well. Also, keep an eye out for my YouTube shorts. I'm going to do little mini vlogs at the other games that I'm going to, so make sure you check out those as well. And let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. See you next time.